be familiar with ISTEA, we are a global provider of service management and mobile workforce solutions. And more than 35 years, we've been helping companies maximize the value of every customer interaction through a smarter and more comprehensive approach to service lifecycle management. And solutions are offered on-premise or in the cloud and integrate seamlessly with major CRM and ERP solutions. Very happy to have Ali Pinder with us. Ali is a senior research analyst in the service management practice with the Aberdeen Group. He researches and explores how service and manufacturing executives use technology and implement best practices to improve post-sale service and support processes. Written or co-authored over 60 research reports and marked more than 4,000 service executives in his 5+ years with Aberdeen, and covering primary areas such as field service and mobility, service parts logistics, warranty and service contract management, logistics, repair, and return. Along with specific areas of coverage, Ali is also responsible for the development and engagement of the service team's Research Advisory Council, consisting of over 50 senior-level service executives. Ali's past experience has included responsibilities in both reverse logistics and customer support roles. He has an MBA in supply chain management from Northeastern University and a Bachelor of Science from Pepperdine University. So at this point in time, I'd like to pass over control to Ali. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Deb. And once again, good morning or good afternoon to everyone on the line. Once again, it's Ali Pinder, and I'm the Senior Research Analyst, as Deb stated, and I'd like to welcome you to the State of Service Management 2015, Connecting to Your Customers webinar. Over the next or so, I will highlight some of my recent research on the state of the service market. First, provide a very brief overview of Aberdeen and our methodology of research collection and analysis. The majority of this webinar will be tied to the trends we are seeing in the marketplace, beginning with the general trends for service as we travel further into 2015. The impact of the customer on your organization, and that's whether or not you're B2B or B2C, the customer is always important to your viability. We'll take at what best-in-class performance looks like, some trends on remote service, because that's a new trend that we're seeing in the marketplace. And I'll wrap up with a quick roadmap to help you get closer to or all the way to best-in-class with a few takeaways. There will be some, as Deb stated, at the end to answer any questions you may have. Please submit them throughout the session. And once again, there'll be a couple polls that I'm going to throw into this presentation to make sure that you guys are all still on your toes and listening and capture some real-time insight into how your organizations are performing. Let's quickly discuss Aberdeen and how we conduct research that you'll all be seeing today. Aberdeen is a third-party market research firm, if you're not aware. We conduct primary research through surveys on a given set of topics. Our analyst team collects data from practitioners like yourself and analyze these findings to create research content. In particular, we look at all of our research through two lenses, or two frameworks. The first is our PACE methodology, which looks at the pressures that impact an organization, and the strategic actions that organizations take to mitigate these pressures, and then look at internal capabilities and technology enablers organizations implement to excel. Then dive into our best-in-class maturity framework. In these studies, we ask a series of KPI questions and determine the top 20% of performers, which are the best-in-class, the middle 50% being the industry average, and the bottom 30% being the laggards. From this framework, we can then reevaluate PACE and build a roadmap for success for organizations, highlighting how an organization can move from laggard or underperforming to industry average and eventually best-in-class. And we also understand that even the best-in-class can still improve, so we also provide recommendations on how the best can get better. And on the left of the screen, those orange bars, those would be three metrics that we looked at specifically to this project around state of service, so customer satisfaction, service profitability, and first-time fix. Here within this topic, we feel those are the three most important KPI that we should be looking at when measuring the best-in-class organizations. So with the introduction, let's jump into some really cool data. Let's sit back to Deb for the first poll.
Okay, thanks, Al. I'd like to open up this poll. And we're interested in understanding which metric best defines service success for your business. Is it workforce productivity or utilization, first-time fixed rate, customer satisfaction, profitability, cost, or applicable? So we're getting some, and I know you can only pick one. There might be multiple ones, but if you could pick the top one. So what we're seeing is so far customer satisfaction is leading way at 42%. We have first-time fixed rate at 7%, work productivity at 4%, and service profitability at 4%. So it looks like definitely customer satisfaction is leading the pack by majority, and the first-time fixed rate and workforce productivity following both at 7%. So thank you very much for submitting that. I'm going to close that poll and hand it back over to you, Allie.
Great, thanks, Deb. And that comes as no real shock to me. We definitely still see, as you see in this slide, that service or customer service and customer satisfaction is important. As we see the marketplace, service excellence is always going to be a moving target. And by no means should organizations just look to one metric or group of metrics. I know that poll made you choose one, but there's definitely a batch of metrics that you should look at when you're measuring success. But what's important in this changing world of the empowered customer is that customer remains king. And neglect your customer relationships will lead to some negative outcomes for the business. Customer satisfaction scores are somewhat of a lagging indicator to success. And when you look at a feature or a measuring tool like NPS scores or satisfaction surveys, those are all be a result of the service you deliver. But from this figure, the ultimate judge of your success should be how happy your customers are at the beginning, middle, and end of the day, right? Because as customers are kings, a happy customer will definitely lead to increased dollars. But too often we make doing business with us too difficult for our customers. This organization cannot operate in a vacuum, assuming that customers will buy whatever you want to sell them. The silver cartoon is meant to highlight how sales, marketing, engineering, and of course service all to understand the customer and what they value, and do the best job to match that value with the right products and services. And this organization can't operate in a vacuum. Excellent service and delivering value to customers has become imperative for organizations, as you can see some of the key pressures facing business. Competition in both products and services made the importance of differentiated offering even more integral and a visible shortcoming for the organizations that have fallen into the realm of being a commodity. Competition, services being challenged to continuously improve. Customers demanding more than just the standard product or break-fix services. Also, because products are becoming or getting more complex, the opportunity to own the service relationship is improved. Oftentimes, competitors won't have a leg up on your equipment. This opportunity must be taken advantage of with exceptional service. But unfortunately, many organizations find that they aren't able to find the talent necessary to provide this level of service to the customer, leading to lost wallet share. This is like a losing battle, but with investment, a clear strategy, and accountability, value-add service can be the solution to the problem of creating an ongoing customer partnership. Earlier, I highlighted the top KPI, and it also came out in the poll, which all of the organizations should be judging your success. And this slide once again validates that similar story. Here, what were the key goals for the service organization? No shock is the fact that improving customer satisfaction is the #1 goal. So it's not only the one metric, but it's also the goal for organizations as we look at 2015. What's intriguing about this slide is all of these goals relate back to the customer. You have satisfaction, improved service productivity looks towards more customers getting resolution in a given day. Increased loyalty means that service has built lifelong customers. And increased revenues and profitability show that not only are you driving greater share of wallet, but you're doing it efficiently, which benefits not only your bottom line but also the customer. Our service organization must continue to be continuous improvement to benefit the customer. All investments in the service organization, whether they be in technology or resources, should be viewed in the relation to how they will impact the customer relationship. So service is important, that customers more value, that driving more customer value is important, and that competition is getting more aggressive. But how quickly change and evolve? The answer is this isn't easy. It's not just about hiring a new service-focused leader or change management guru. There will be clear investment in resources and technology specific to the service organization. What are the barriers listed by your peers in regard to why service is unsuccessful at times? Organizations remain too product-focused, which is often driven by the fact that sales and marketing not quite see the value of the service offering, or being poorly trained and incented to sell service. Some organizations I've talked to find that what works best is speaking to within the sales language, which is dollars and cents, obviously. Sales organization that service adds value to a deal, and when service is sold, it will only help you attain your quota, is key to bridging that gap between the service organization and sales. But giving away for free, we're all losing money, and not showing the customer that building a long-lasting partnership is less important than that quick sale. They directly speak to the fact that despite higher margins coming from service and customers continue to expect better service value, organizations still invest too little in the infrastructure to support service as a result of still being product-centric. This is a trend that's gradually changing, and I hope part of the research at Aberdeen is helping that. But it's still a challenge for many organizations, and it still persists not only in organizations across company size, also across different industries. So certainly the customer is important to service and to future of the organization. So how can we transform the model to better include the customer, when appropriate, into the service discussion and ensure customers see enough value to doing continued business with you? First, customer engagement is a focus for leadership in this changing world. This action may be somewhat of a lagging indicator, as I discussed earlier, but engaging customers through interactions with the service team is clearly important as service leaders build strategy for the organization in 2015 and beyond. Out of 10 best-in-class firms here, once again, the top 20% performers see customer engagement as important or very important. And these in class are establishing a myriad of ways to achieve this goal. Top of the ways organizations are becoming smarter at engaging with customers by understanding how customers want to interact with a service organization. In the multi-channel world now, your end users can interact with their service team or brand over the phone or email or the web. Typically, organizations try to steer customers to the channel for their own bottom line needs. We confirm this point very strongly. That strategy is the way of the past. Customers have too many options, too much influence, and are too savvy. Organizations must interact with their customers on the customer's terms and not your own. Furthermore, establishment of new services which help create ongoing partnerships is key to engagement. Driving use of equipment and hoping customers will know how to get the most out of its productivity is a way to miss an opportunity to service. Install training and consultative services are a lucrative way to engage customers and improve the value of the engagement. Value-added services have the opportunity to recur beyond the often one-time sale of the equipment. Two other organizations are looking to improve the relationship with customers is to provide them with better visibility into the status of service requests and goals of the organization. Comparison to the goals and status of service empower customers to better prepare for future service while also letting them know that the organization has mutual success in mind in regard to their customer interactions. And this by means is easy, as we all know, but the best class have made service, customer engagement, and excellence a collaborative thing. Not external customers, but also with internal customers. Top performers training the sales and marketing teams as to the value of service. We discussed earlier that's a major challenge to business. Because of the fact that the field service team is out fixing things, sales and marketing also interact with the customer and must be on board for one combined message of value. The best-in-class provide that insight to other teams from actual customer and performance feedback and not just the gut feel. We're all people on this line, but the facts do count more than gut feel. The class use technology to capture insight and make that insight accessible to other teams within the organization. Collaboration shouldn't just be a term which means long meetings which distract from work. The best-in-class use technology to ensure teams can have access to real data without distraction or disruption to their jobs. Collaboration should be an improvement and not a detractor to service excellence. More than half of the best-in-class work to create a culture of service within the organization. When all the best interests of the customer in mind, service and products will be created which help customers improve. So all this may sound like a utopian state, but what does it mean tangibly to the best-in-class when we look at engagement with customers and creating a culture of collaboration? As you can see, across the board, the best-in-class are turning engaged customers into retained customers, regenerating customers, and best of all, profitable customers. Compliant SLA is a start that we all should begin with, but these organizations make sure they are going beyond just what is contractually required of their service teams to drive value. Best-in-class are improving upon these metrics year over year, not only boosting renewals and revenues, but lowering the cost of servicing customers, all while completing more calls per day. So being engagement and collaboration doesn't mean you have to suffer in the key metrics which drive the business and drive all of our ROI and all of our conversations with our senior leaders. So getting to these results. And we'll get into the roadmap to best in class. But first, let's explore an emerging trend, which is adding the visibility we talked about earlier, while also making service more responsive and profitable. Technology, and specifically technology which enables remote connectivity with assets and equipment in the field, is sparking quite the buzz lately, as I'm sure we've all seen. Terms like Internet of Things and M2M are becoming common vernacular amongst service folk and conferences that I'm attending. But technology which will remove the need to have text at all? I don't think so. As you can see by the previous data points, best-in-class firms want to get more tied into customer partnerships and not just connected to more machines. But what that is enabled by these connections is improved data to be able to make strategic decisions which will support better service. Best-in-class are 48% more likely than the industry average to dispatch service techs based on remote data. This ability to know when performance is lagging or a future failure is imminent allows the best-in-class to be more proactive in service delivery and execution. The key solution, having remote data which can track performance, failure reasons, and potential fixes provides service technicians with the answers to solve the problem faster for customers. This also allows technicians who may not be true experts on a particular piece of equipment to reach resolution, as opposed to needing to send out a different tech at a later date or spend time on the phone with a remote expert. Both are costly to the customer and productivity hours. Class aren't planning on stopping with this current state that they're in. They are expecting to increase the number of dispatches which are aided by remote diagnostics over the next 12 months. And predict out 5 or 10 or 20 years, I don't see this trend slowing down anytime soon. Any goal of remote monitoring should be improved service. We're finding that 35% of serviceable equipment in the field is being connected to in 2013. That's moved up quite dramatically by the best in class. And even the larger are catching up to that 35% number that we captured back in 2013. Best in class, despite the fact that they do want to engage and interact with customers, are looking at remote as an opportunity to remotely resolve issues. They're still in getting a technician in front of customers, as stated earlier, for installation, training, or consultation. Tasks which can be done remotely to save the customer in downtime will boost their productivity and opportunity to keep those devices up and running. Solutions should be additive to the customer relationship with the service organization and not take away from the value which customers gain from interaction with your trusted partners, the service techs. As we continue down the path of the best-in-class, a few more best practices have been identified in the data. You may want to consider some of these capabilities as you look to transform your organization. First of all, the best-in-class have looked to ensure that service is continuously being improved upon. The same team, as I continue to state, are being trained in the best-in-class organizations on the value and availability of service offerings currently and in the future. Earlier, a major challenge to growth service was the product centricity of the organization. This was unless teams are trained on the offerings available, these offerings in a potential deal, and what enhancements are on the horizon. Market campaigns are often planned out quarters in advance of change being made, so periodic check-ins are necessary to keep marketing materials and promotions up to date. Best-in-class connect the design and manufacturing teams to service insights. Defects and poor performance uncovered in the field is captured and communicated to ensure future products are enhanced and made easier to service in the future. As earlier, products are becoming more complex. The ability to make them more serviceable if it were to fail is important to ensure service can be executed quickly. Increased serviceability allows for more flexibility into the skill set needed by the technician being scheduled to service a machine or product. Over the past, I've documented that many organizations are being challenged by an aging workforce, and that is, relatively speaking, easier to fix is extremely beneficial as many organizations lose countless numbers of their more experienced technicians due to retirement or attrition. And finally, in class are more than twice as likely as laggards to build a service strategy which encompasses field service and the vehicles in the fleet. Disparate resources with minimal visibility negatively impacts an organization's ability to be nimble as service needs to change throughout a month, a week, a day, or even hours. Beyond improvement capabilities, the best-in-class also look to further engage customers and ensure their voices are being heard. Many of you are aware of the rise of the millennials, those of us that are born in early 80s or in the late 90s, often portrayed as those entitled generation. I take such a pessimistic view of the cohort as they actually have a lot of value to offer in different ways. One aspect of this generation, and along with those more conscientious buyers out there, is the desire to support and join companies that are helping and not hurting. What the best have figured out is they could create sustainable initiatives which will boost productivity, improve efficiency, and positively impact their brand image. Best-in-class also meet with their customers, let their customers speak to each other, and turn these communications into future action. And capture feedback from customers is just a starting point. The best-in-class turn this insight into improved products and services. They're 56% more likely than their peers to proactively capture customer feedback on the performance of not only service but also the equipment, and take this feedback to better align the offering. Class also ensure that technicians aren't left on an island by themselves, expect to resolve issues without support. They provide techs with access to parts information and repair knowledge, so even if a problem may be new to them, it can be solved on a first visit. Finally, the best-in-class are more likely to make the insights captured in the field accessible to the organization. Global businesses need to ensure that data is not just captured to be in a silo somewhere, by functions which can benefit from this data. The best-in-class understand the story. Key differentiators, the best-in-class consistently look for tools to measure their performance. Without the right metrics and holding the team accountable to these KPI, service will suffer. But almost important is measuring to annual performance reviews. The best-in-class benchmark their performance against peers and other top performers, irrespective of industry. The marketplace is changing. Customers don't care if you don't think that you compete with B2C marketplace within service. They are receiving great customer service experiences from car rental places and on-tail retailers, and they're expecting the same from you. The improved service to outperform peers also manifests itself as best-in-class use monitoring data to move closer to preventative service, which also avoids failures in the future. And now the last poll.
So I'm going to open up those polls. And essentially, is your organization planning on increasing your investment or investing in service technology this year? Yes, no, unsure, or maybe no answer at this time. So if you could just submit your responses, that would be great. So right now, from a trending perspective, we have 51% of the audience saying yes, that they do plan on investing or increasing investment spend. 7% are at the no, and 16% are unsure. And just wait a couple seconds. It looks like pretty much the yes is at 56%. In regards to investing in technology in the area of service. So thank you everyone for submitting that poll. I'm going to close that poll, and Allie, I'll let you continue.
Okay. It's a good number, so everyone on the call, you're best in class. For the best in class, investment in technology to improve the service operation will either rise or remain at least last year's levels. None of the class plan on cutting back on investments being made in service technology like many of you on the call. And they say that they plan on just throwing money at a problem. But as I told earlier, the best in class understand that in order to close that gap of insufficient infrastructure, investments must be made. But also investments need to be prioritized. IT, the front line who will be using the technology, and management must be on the same page as to the value, need, and timeline for these investments. What is it if you buy that latest mobile device for your field techs, if they're bought in and decide instead to just use paper until they get to the end of their work week and then just input data in mass? What for service leadership to pitch the benefits of smartphones in the field if your IT department can't support the rollout to your dispersed team? Missing leads to costly delays and failures. And once again, services can't fall behind anymore as customers and competition are aren't going to sit back and let you recover. And so continuing investment in technology is something that we've been tracking year over year, and it's something that's interesting. You might think that it's a one-time purchase, but it's definitely something that you need to continue to look to build your ROI case, business case, and invest in for the future. With 4 takeaways as we've gone through all of the data. First off, engage your customers in conversation. The competitive landscape makes it imperative that you understand what your customers value, how they want to interact with you, what type of services they are willing to pay for, and how you can continuously improve your offerings. Questions, you will never get the answers you need. And this will continue the status quo in service as opposed to innovating. 2, I think of innovation in the terms of product development. Serve a great opportunity to innovate and evolve over time based on performance, need, and gaps in the marketplace. Customers as a metric may be a lagging indicator in regard to operational efficiency or revenue, but it is a leading indicator in relation to your success. Unhappy customers will lead to the end of your business. Secondly, creating a culture of service collaboration is a must if service with firms is to thrive and support your customers with new products and service offerings. It is difficult for service to act alone. Many of you on this call are service heroes within your organizations, doing whatever it takes to solve customer problems. But for sustained success is replicating your victories over time and across the geographies you serve. Ensure that service and customer data help spark new conversations within your organizations and ultimately new products and services is the path to recurring success. So given away for free and to value customers see to the services being provided with the sales and marketing campaigns of your organizations will help tell that story. Also, you need to reward the right behaviors that you want to foster. If they're in it for sales to sell service or marketing market service offerings, or to see the value in creating products which are more serviceable, nothing will change. And not only does the customer lose, so does the organization. Next, you need to keep your eyes out for the continued use of remote monitoring and service. This whole trend, which is somewhere out in the future of 2020, Service has the ability now to take machine and equipment data and dispatch proactively and resolve some issues without a truck roll. Like all initiatives I've highlighted, is to do this on the customer's terms. You need to be aware and see the value in the services being provided. Cost cutting should not be the end goal. And finally, technology is not a one-time buy. How does need to be an intelligent buy? Technology investment should be made with a purpose, not just for the flash of a new shiny device. Mobile technology is at the heart of ensuring the field team has the knowledge and capability to resolve customer issues fast and efficiently. And this technology also provides visibility into the service process, not only management, but also to the customer, the field team, and the back office support team. 2018 will continue to be a big year for service organizations, as all of you on the call are striving to be best in class. And certainly a stagnant thing, it will continue to be a moving target. I want to thank you for your time, and we'll open it up for questions.
Very much, Allie. I appreciate you sharing these for the fresh out of the market, if you will, this study, and we will be offering a white paper that you'll be releasing soon as well. But we had some questions come in while you were speaking, and one was it's kind of a two-part question. You know, what are the best-in-class companies using as customer satisfaction scores? And then the second piece of that, and if you know, what is the best-in-class NPS or Net Promoter Score in the field service industry? And certainly we can post answers if you need to research the second one. But
yeah, that's a good question. It's something that we're asked quite frequently to benchmark. You know, what is specified customer? Best-in-class perspective, ending right at about 88% best-in-class, or excuse me, 88% of customer sat. So, you know, a fairly high number. Industry average for our sampled organizations is right around the high 60 to 70%. We captured what NPS is for the best-in-class, mainly because that's a method that, you know, is defined on different scales for different organizations, and so that would be something I'd have to get back to you on.
Okay, great. The other question that came in is, are most companies charging for remote diagnostics?
Well, right now, I would say companies are charging if they're providing reporting and resolution through those channels. If they're just leveraging the connected machines and connected devices for their own purposes, they're not necessarily charging for it. One of the key areas that we're seeing from a revenue generation perspective is looking at providing that reporting and intelligence back to customers as an additional service. And so for that particular case, yes, it is being charged, but most cases right now it's still you know, a new capability for organizations. As we stated, just over 35% of assets and machines are connected currently. So it's still new enough that it's not a driver for many organizations, but I do believe it's something on the horizon.
Okay, great. Getting some more questions, which is great. Another one is, what is the best way to benchmark or see how our competitors are perceived by our mutual customers?
Yeah, one thing that's very interesting about the service market is, as much as I'm an expert on, service guys and gals enjoy talking with each other. I think the best way to benchmark yourself is if you can get out to events and engage conversations with your colleagues. Most of the time they're open to discussion on apps challenges and what they're doing that is working, if not what they're doing that they need to improve upon. I would say we try our best here within our Aberdeen research to provide you with some of that content. Yes, there's a number of publications out there that provide some competitive analysis to provide you with what is, you know, best practice in a given industry. But if you want to use all channels that you have available to get that insight, asking your customers. I think, you know, this presentation, I think it's important that you're engaging your customers in those open dialogues. I've seen it work very well in user forums where you get a number of not only your happy and satisfied advocates, but also those organizations that, you know, you may be just onboarded or that may be more challenging to work with, and bring them together and actually ask them the hard questions to understand that you're looking at improvement. And oftentimes they'll be willing to give you that insight.
The same gentleman just, you know, Alan, in addition to that, you know, do you recommend having the voice of customer roundtables, you know, having them on a conference call asking questions about how to improve service and things like that?
It's on the maturity of your organization. So if it's just going to be a call where you have your customers air their grievances, but something happens afterwards, it is going to be a negative to the end customer. They need to be able to see that not only are you listening, but you're taking insight and putting it into action. So one that I advocate and something that my recent advisory council of executives talk about within their businesses, you're collecting customer feedback, after every service call or after, every service visit or, quarterly, to actually communicate what's been captured from your customers to your customers, whether it be in a newsletter or some other interaction, and then showing them that you're using that data and information to actually improve your products and services. So it's great to have the, voice of the customer calls. I definitely advocate it, unless at this point you're not able to turn that insight you're capturing into actual improvements in the business. It'll be perceived from your customer base as a waste of the time, and they'll look at others to mitigate that challenge.
Okay, great. We've got another question, kind of more on the sales side. Engaging sales in actually selling service as opposed to giving it away has been a struggle within our organization. Are there any tips and or strategies to help shift this mindset?
Yeah, it's a question we get a lot, and I've done a little bit of research with my colleague here at Aberdeen who covers the sales effectiveness space. And the first thing is to understand what motivates your sales team. And I think we all understand that the majority of sales executives are motivated by their bonus structure and compensation, which is incented on their ability to sell what's easiest and resonates best within their customer base. And so first of all, understanding the incentive structure for your sales organization, align that with selling service is important. Thing that we've seen work pretty well is creating those buddy cross-functional teams, but not just to have a meeting, to actually understand, to maybe sift through the customer feedback that you're getting, or go right along with your service executive to understand this is it's not just a sales call, but have your sales executive understand the interaction between the service organization and the customer and the value that your customers see within that interaction. One area that we've seen work pretty well is as we all get higher up in our organizations from a service leadership perspective, I think getting sales and sales leadership buy-in into how service has a clear strategy to drive that revenue and to increase sales opportunities is important. Putting the metrics in place that you're able to show from a profit and loss perspective what service can drive and how that may be higher in your organizations than a product sale, and which will provide that sales executive with a bigger bonus. So giving them the visibility in language is first, maybe having them go on a ride along to see the value of service, and then having service leadership interact and engage with sales management to make sure that incentives are aligned and strategy is aligned.
Kind of along that line, so this is definitely starting some good questions coming in. How, based on the experience and the companies you've talked to, have companies moved and kind of made a shift from product sales to service solution sales? I think it also dovetails into experience of, and this has come up with a couple questions about the service engineers being incentivized to sell, and what are some things that you've encountered? Right.
That's I think like 3 or 4 questions in one, but it's all of them.
So I think we'll do that, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, and definitely reach out if there's additional questions. So thanks, Allie.
Yeah. So the evolution or migration from product centricity to more service centric organizations is looking at your incentive structure and looking at how your sales team is being incented to sell. What are they motivated to sell? So one of the best practices we've seen, both in data and anecdotally, is putting service as a line item within the pitch your sales executives are going to, so that they're somewhat forced to sell service as a line item as opposed to a throw-in. So looking at creating a service sales team, so a team that is solely selling service to your end customers and prospects. That they're incented. They're not even looking at products. They're just selling service within their marketplace. Those are two ways that we've seen organizations get around a quick change of the mindset. I think a longer-term initiative is definitely, ensuring that service leadership is in charge or interacts with the sales organization. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Ensuring that the service leadership is on the same page with sales and you're going together as a combined organization is what we're seeing. The last question within that batch, if you can remind me, Deb.
The service engineers, but then also shifting from product. Yeah. Yes,
that's been something that I've been interested in capturing for a while. So for the 6 years or 5+ years I've been here, and what we've seen is an evolution away from that service executive that's incented to be a direct seller. So I've seen it work in a couple organizations, but across the bulk of the sample of readers and survey takers that we've captured, it hasn't worked as well as initially expected to. So not that your service guys and gals shouldn't look at opportunities to sell sales there, but what we've worked really well is through mobile technology and ability for a service executive to get on site and create that picture of what the end user is looking for, gaps in services, opportunities, that information into some CRM or to your mobile device that can be accessible by the sales or marketing organization, and having them follow up. So direct call, right after you close the work order, but bring that information and that insight from the eyes of the organization back into the rest of the sales or marketing team, how we've seen best-in-class organizations move. We've seen some organizations have incented the service team to not directly sell, but be more of lead generation tool. So they're incented to identify those opportunities, bring them into the pipeline, and then eventually have that sales organization follow up and close that deal. So we haven't worked very well with the service executive who is really good at turning wrenches, really good at solving customer problems on site, have been as good at being that deal closer, and a lot of the service executives we've talked to have been finding that changed their relationship with the customer. Now the customer isn't viewing them as that service hero; they're viewing them as a sales executive. And many of the service technicians we've talked to did like really being that kind of hybrid or more salesy type of person. And so, lead the eyes and ears of the organization on site and the face of the organization on site, and bringing that lead back into the organization is how we've seen the best-in-class organizations move past service revenue-generating technician in the field. Hopefully, kind of a limited way how you can look at incenting the technicians to be better sellers.
Okay, we hear that often as well. Just even being able to identify potential opportunities, and somebody else may come in and do the sales piece of it is helpful as well. So I'd like to thank a special thank you to Allie for today. This is kind of becoming a tradition of ours, offering the webinars on a yearly basis, and also thank everyone for participating. We will be making the webinar recording as well as the slides available, so look for an email from us later this afternoon. We'll get that out as soon as possible. If there are questions that we haven't answered, I will reach out and collaborate with Allie, and we'll get responses back to you in the next day or so for those that have submitted. So again, thank you, Allie, and thank you everyone for being on the call today, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Joining us today, ladies